Hey guys. So do you feel like your phone is being hacked and is sending your personal information without permission? Maybe you simply just want to check that those apps are doing what they're supposed to do using your internet. Well, in this video, I'll show you what those apps are secretly doing, like an X-ray machine for your Android. First, let's point your browser to http toolkit.com. And from there, you'll see there's options for Windows, Mac, and Linux. So if you're going with Windows, I highly recommend you stick with the Windows zip, because this way you don't need to install anything on your computer. So once you have Http Toolkit downloaded, just head to the location where you saved it, and you'll first want to extract that zip archive. We'll just create a new folder for it, select all the files in the archive, and then extract everything in that new directory. And after that, let's head inside the folder and you'll see the HTTP Toolkit app. For PC users, since we're opening it for the first time, you will see a prompt from Windows Security. This is basically your computer checking to see if you want to let it pass through the firewall. So go ahead and click Allow so it can start capturing HTTP requests. We'll now switch to our Android phone to get HTTP Toolkit installed. So from your list of apps, let's head to the Play Store. Once you have it open, we'll want to search for HTTP Toolkit. This will typically be the first entry. So once you tap on the search result, let's install the app on our phone. Once this is done, look for HTTP Toolkit in your list of apps. Let's open it so we can continue getting set up. So initially, the first time when you open this app, it will show up as disconnected because we haven't really started capturing any network requests yet. So from our computer with the app open, look for the tile Android device via QR code. We'll want to click on that and you'll see it generate a QR code to connect your phone. So if you jump back to your Android device and tap Scan QR code, first give it permission so it can access your camera. So now you'll use your phone's camera to scan that QR code from your PC. You'll also be prompted for permissions to use a temporary VPN connection. And thankfully, this is the very last step for you to start capturing internet traffic. For most users, you should not skip doing this step because otherwise you're not going to be able to capture HTTP requests. So let's first tap Open Security Settings. For Samsung users, scroll down and look for More Security Settings. Then near the bottom, you should see an option to install from Device Storage. For Pixel users, you'll have to go from Security to Encryption and Credentials, then to Install a Certificate. Then regardless of what Android device you have, we'll go with CA Certificate. So if you see a security prompt, just tap Install anyway. Let's point it to the download folder. You'll see that it dropped the certificate that we need here. Make sure you select HTTP Toolkit certificate.crt and then tap Done to finish things up. So at this point, you can return to HTTP Toolkit or just keep going back until you're back on the app. You should now see a green check mark next to User Trust enabled. To test if requests are being captured, tap Test Interception. This will direct you to a web page to see if it really worked. You can test this out yourself by opening up a browser and heading to google.com. Then from the HTTP Toolkit app from your computer, click on the View tab. There you'll see a bunch of network activity being captured from your phone. So for example, if you scroll through some of the captured activity, you'll see the google.com HTTP request. Now I'll show you how to check if an app is sending your data behind the scenes. For example, this is a suspicious app that's claiming to be an antivirus. But as soon as I opened it, there's a very suspicious HTTP request that it captured. So this is the full URL, which apparently points to some private server. Most importantly, it's using an HTTP post method, which means you are definitely sending data to that server. You can see what it sent by looking at the body of the request. So in my case, my name has been sent from somewhere on my phone, but what's scary is that there are GPS coordinates that probably show my location. So it also tried to get my IP address, but thankfully it failed to do that since it's showing unknown. But if you go further down, you can see an HTTP status that came back in the response from this URL. So in this case, this app saved my data somewhere to be sold online. This means it's probably used to target ads on my phone since it has some sort of cookie tied to my identity. Another bad sign of your data being sent somewhere is when an HTTP put method is captured from an app. When you're dealing with an HTTP put request, it means it's sending updated information. So in my case, the app tried to update the information it has on me, including things like my credit card information, number of contacts stored on my phone, then of course more data for targeted ads. So taking a peek from the captured response from this network request, it confirms that my information was updated successfully. Next, let's look at another example of suspicious network activity on your phone. While you're capturing requests, definitely pay attention for apps calling raw IP addresses directly. Like this one, for example. This is definitely not a good sign since you have no idea what service or website is being accessed. Now, let's look at cases where apps or websites are sending you towards malware. The most classic example is when people browse the web for things like free wallpapers or downloads. You'll probably scroll through a bunch of media, plus there's going to be random pop-up notifications and ads being shown. But the most notorious way these websites will probably corner you is basically when you get redirected from one site to another. For example, this has captured a website that is sending me to about 100 different pages, one after another. You can tell that a redirect happened when an HTTP response comes back with the status code of 303. When that happens, it typically has a location property. That's where it's going to force you to go next. So take a close look at this URL, which ends with a 19. Looking further down, you can see my phone's browser was forced to go to that URL immediately after. What's funny is this redirected URL is telling my browser to go to yet another different URL. Thankfully, most browsers nowadays have built-in security systems for too many redirects. But 99% of the time, it's too late. Plus, you might have already downloaded or clicked on something that you shouldn't have. What's cool about Http Toolkit is that it captures requests not only when your apps are open, but it can also capture activity in the background or while the screen is off. So if you find an abnormal amount of network requests being captured while you're not using your phone, that's probably not a good sign. So I hope this helped you track down what apps on your phone are downloading or uploading things behind the scenes. And for more on Android, please consider subscribing to this channel.